If we had 2 per year, as long as I've been here, that'd be 66 times.
How many times have we had a problem exist that this would take care of?
Well, considering that they felt like it was a 30-day period all along, I don't think we've had any problems to this point.
I really think time is not the problem, because I believe had the petitioners known that it was 30 days, they would have had it done in 30 days. They just didn't, they didn't know, they thought it was 90 days.
Mr. Yoder, I'd also point out that it does a bit more than simply set it for 30 days. It also puts some other obligations on the city council to take action, and that is to have a public hearing on the matter. This is another thing that we cried for on a number of occasions in this meeting. Not tonight that I'm aware of, but I think it, you know, whatever the time period is, I recommend we fix it at whatever date the city council would think proper. And that's not a decision that I care one whit about. I just want a certainty, and I think my council would appreciate that certainty so that they can't market, they can't really do the things they typically did if the judge actually enters a ruling that would be limiting the effect of the prior ordinances.
Well, I think as long as, you know, I can remember back to the jail, I can remember back to the fire station, 2 specific issues that affect the community dearly. And I think as long as the people know what are able to vote on the taxes, there's very little chance of litigation. Generally, these issues will go through. Either go through or fail. And I think that, you know, that's the thing. I think that we should encourage people to be involved in government. We should think, you know, encourage the citizens to participate in the democratic process. Voting is very important to us. That this council, the city of Searcy, should have a transparent government, not like the one in Washington where it's behind closed doors and the people can't speak or be listened to. And I think that this is just kind of a way of doing that.
I don't see how, except in the context of changing it from 30 to 90 days. And that's a political decision that you guys have to make yourselves. Is there anything else in the ordinance other than the time limit that you have an issue with?
Well, the emergency clause. Why is this emergency?
So it can go into effect right now, and it has been recommended. I don't know if, you know, frankly, there could be a bond ordinance next month. And absent the adoption of the emergency clause, it would not go into effect, because this is an ordinance of a general and permanent nature for a longer period of time. Again, that's the council's election whether to adopt the emergency clause or not. If you perceive there to be an emergency, then vote in favor of it. If you do not perceive that to be an emergency, then don't vote in favor of it.
Thank you.
This is, however, an ordinance of a general and permanent nature that amends the code of ordinances.
Well, could this have an effect on when Harding came and asked us?
Let me back up. Effect on what? I assume you meant the existing proceeding.
No. The last council meeting, or council meeting before last, Dr. Bergson, when you were here, and could this have an effect on?
I use this only by way of example. If the emergency clause is not adopted, and if hypothetically an entity, and I don't know that there's anything on their agenda or on their radar screen at all, and asked us to provide conduit financing through a bond ordinance, and the emergency clause was not adopted, this ordinance would not be in effect. So they would still have a longer period after the adoption of the ordinance. And frankly, there's going to be a window there that's going to be a lot of uncertainty, and they'd probably just hold it for 90 days before they did any marketing and things anyway. That's what I'd recommend to them as cautious advice. But no, there would be a delay. The important thing is
there won't be a delay.
correct. I mean, the important thing that I think everybody wants is some certainty, so that without regard to whether there's any outcome in any litigation, there's a time, there's a mechanism, there's a procedure. And what this does, in the event that the court rules, if the court rules in a way that I would perceive to be negative, finding, if there's actually an order entered, then this provides a framework. In large measure, this adopts the ordinances from the 20s and 30s. As far, there's been, there's some anachronistic, stylistic changes that need to be made, but in large measure, it adopts in terms of those prior, what bond counsel perceived to be the ordinance that was in effect. That's why it's modeled the way it is. Don't know if that answers all your questions.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Doesn't the Constitution already do this?
No, it does not. What the Constitution says is that the cities may adopt ordinances to deal with referendum petitions. The way I don't have it here, but there is greater latitude, in my view, afforded to cities than there are to the state and to the counties. There are different statutes that have been adopted by the Arkansas legislature that deal with counties that don't really have an analog for municipalities. So the procedure that's here is not to be found that I can locate in the Arkansas Constitution or in the Arkansas statutes.
We have a motion and a, no, we don't.
You know, we don't-
We need a motion
Madam Mayor,
and a second. Mr. Nutter,
I'd like to make a motion to amend this ordinance and everywhere it says 30 days, make it 90 days, please.
I think it says that in one location, and that is in section 1, the equivalent section being 10.10.1.
Okay, I'll amend that section.
I will point out, no, never mind.
That's the only section
There
10.
is-
Well, I was looking at
Section
10.10.7.
look at 10.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 10.10.3. I was more concerned about when the vote was going to occur, but that's pegged up when the petitions are filed. Yeah, okay, so in section 10.10.1 and 10.10.3, that's a different time period as
Different.
well. The time for filing the petitions, and then that's a period of time after which that action is taken. Now, Mr. Nutter, I would point out that you should look at 10, if the motion is to change every place that says 30 to 90, to look at section 10.10.3.
I was looking at it.
That's a different animal. That's 30 days after determination has been made by the city council.
But it's not 30 days after the petitions have been certified.
I think that's correct. City council should meet here all who wish, and I don't think frankly that you can extend that to 90 days.
Why not?
I think that you have, again, I don't have that here, but my recollection is that you have a period of time after which you have to file a petition with the White County Circuit Court seeking to challenge a decision of the council on that measure.
But you're not sure of that time period.
I didn't look at that before I came over here. No. And if you want to change it to 90, I would counsel against that. 30 days after the action taken by the legislative body. And really, that period is just a determination, to challenge the determination of the city council as to whether there's been the proper number of signatures on the petition, not the time of filing the petitions.
When does that 30 days start?
30 days after the date that the city council meets to consider what to do based on the receipt of petitions.